You don't see a lot of Filipino chefs shine here in Calgary in Canada. We just needed the right people just to kind of step up and show them, hey, this is what Filipino food is about. My name is Francis Martinez. And I am the executive chef, part owner of Fine Print here in Calgary. Being Filipino, food's always part of us. Growing up in the Philippines, we lived in Pampanga, which is like considered one of the top food places in the Philippines. I remember my dad always cooking for a bunch of parties, and he's always the guy catering. With my dad owning a bunch of restaurants and bakeries, he would cater to family events. It just brought the whole family together. It just showed how much passion he put into it and how much he enjoyed seeing people eat his food and talk about it. That's like a big moment for me with food. It was tough growing up. Moving to Canada, lost all my friends, me and my cousins. Didn't really speak proper English. I remember bringing Filipino food to school, and I had kids make fun of me. Oh, that smells. Oh, that looks weird. And from day on, I remember just going to school, throwing that food out, and just starving, just so I wouldn't get made fun of. Helping my dad in his restaurants, it was just tough. It was always a part of us. It wasn't really my thing growing up. It was my dad's. My passion was in art. I wanted to go art school, but it was too expensive. I just started working whatever I can get. My sister got me a job at a hotel. So I was like part-time dishwasher, part-time food runner. I just saw the way they put food on plates. It was like art. And it got me more interested in seeing what my dad does at his places. And it was a lot cheaper than going to art school. One of the chefs asked me if I wanted to go to school, and I was like, maybe this is something I could do. There's this one time back in Toronto, I was working at a restaurant, and I was promoted to be a junior sous. I was 21 years old, so that's about, that's like 18 years ago. My first couple of weeks were tough. Back then, working in the restaurant is a lot different from what it is now. You get yelled at a lot more. It's okay for chefs to throw things at you and swear at you. It was a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've cried a few times in the kitchen, but it just gave me a thicker skin. I had one chef that told me, if a chef's nonstop yelling at you, they're forcing the best out of you and they see something there. And if they start ignoring you, not talking to you, that means it's not for you. So I always told myself when I become a chef one day, that's not the style I'm gonna bring. I'm gonna learn from everyone. It doesn't matter how long they've been in the kitchen. Getting yelled at, it rattles people. I have 3 sisters. I was kind of like their dad. I was making sure they're not getting in trouble, or boyfriends and stuff like that, and I'm always getting mad at them. It was actually my dad who told me, the more you act that way, the more they hide things from you. And I just saw that in the kitchen. The more I yell at people, the more I give them shit for making a mistake, the more they'll hide it and not be truthful with you. There's times where I would hide things just so I wouldn't get in trouble. When for me, just letting them know, it's just you make a mistake, hey, let's learn from it and move on. I had one cook that came up to me and said, I love the way you teach. There's no yelling, there's no that. Obviously, he's seen other chefs react differently, and in that moment, I decided, you know what? I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to be a chef. I'm going to keep going up and do it my way without scaring people. I didn't really, in my early career, bring up Filipino cuisine in my style of cooking. To be honest, until moving to Calgary, seeing there's not a lot of this happening in Calgary. There's a lot of Filipino dishes I really like. For me, it's just the technique of cooking it. It takes time. It takes time to cook Filipino food because mainly you use a lot of the tougher cuts of meat, and it just showed how much passion you put into it. I'm using traditional flavors in our dishes like adobo, coconut vinegar, getting our guests to be accustomed to those flavor profile without actually saying, this is a Filipino dish, this is kinilaw. Having those flavors in our dishes now, and when I do a big Filipino here and they're like, hey, I tasted that before. It's not something new, and it's something they'll be accustomed to. And this is what I let with my staff here when they do family meal. I let them cook Filipino food and let the non-Filipinos have it too. And they see how they're enjoying it, and that shows I could cook Filipino food here in this French restaurant and still kind of have everyone enjoy it. Filipino food is just those flavors. You could put it in any kind of style of cooking. And this is what we do here. We get those higher end French techniques or dishes and kind of make it a bit more casual, more appealing to our guests here. And that's the same with the Filipino food. You hit those flavors, present it a different way. It becomes a lot more fine casual. This is uplift the younger generation. Doesn't have to be Filipinos, it could be anyone, but for here, it happens to be quite a bit of Filipinos, which is great. All right, so what we're bringing to the table for today, I'm doing a duck adobo. Traditionally, you'll use chicken, but today I'm gonna use duck. Something different, still a poultry. So what I've done with this duck, I sous vide it for 40 minutes at 130 degrees just to get that perfect temperature when I sear it. Traditionally, adobo, you get your soy sauce, your vinegar, peppercorn, we got some bay leaf, garlic, and then traditionally with potato and carrots. But today I'm changing it up a bit. I have a potato pave. This is around 20 layers of sheeted potato. I baked it, I pressed it, and get this nice perfectly even potato. And I have some organic carrots to pair with it and some Brussels sprouts, and a little bit of a twist. I'm doing a crispy duck confit just to kind of give it a bit more flair. So the first thing that we'll do is make the sauce. So traditionally you cook your chicken in the sauce, the marinade with the soy, vinegar, bay leaf, garlic, peppercorn. So here I'll add some soy. So I'm using two types of vinegar. I have white vinegar. They're traditional. I'm gonna add some green peppercorn instead of the black. The difference between using the black peppercorn and the green peppercorn. Black peppercorn is dried and you'll get more of a peppery flavor. Using the green peppercorn, you get more of the freshness and floral flavor of peppercorn. Next up, we'll add the sugar. Sugar will balance out the tartness of the vinegar, the saltiness of the soy, and it will help thicken the sauce. All right, next up, we'll start searing our protein, which is the duck, and getting our vegetables going. For the duck, you always want to cook the duck at about medium to low heat to render off the fat. And with duck, you don't need to use any oil. That's pretty much all the fat is on the skin. This will be about medium rare. So now I'm just gonna get it nice and crispy. A few years back, my dad used to own a Filipino restaurant called Pampanga Cuisine. And adobo being the national dish of the Philippines, we sold a lot of it. And I would always remember him telling me to cook massive batches of it. And I'm pretty sure I could cook this in my sleep now. I love the flavor profile of the soy, the sweetness of it, the tartness of the vinegar, and adding some peppercorn in there will give it that balanced flavor. So now I'm gonna sear off our potato pave. Just add a bit of oil. While that's heating up, I will prepare the vegetables. If you talk about Filipino food, there's not really any genre for it. A lot of people say it's a melting pot of cuisine. When Filipino food is very accessible and you don't need to use very expensive cut meats, and that's why we like to stew a lot of it. So it takes time to cook it, but flavor-wise, it's spot on. For me, I think the flavor of the sauce will hold up to the nice meatiness of this poultry. So I'll just add a bit of salt on the top. So I will sear off all sides. So as you can see, it's slowly rendering. No oil in there. An ounce of fat just came out of that skin. A sauce that would cover our protein. Typically this adobo dish, you cook all at once in the pot. You have your chicken or your pork or whatever type of protein. You basically cook it all in one pot with your potatoes, your carrots. When people first try Filipino food, it ain't as appealing as other cuisine. A lot of our dishes are stews, which are just all cooked all together, put in a bowl, eat with rice. For us younger new chefs now who want to show off Filipino food, we like to cook every component separate and put it all in just one dish just to kind of make it more appealing for people. Being in this restaurant, being the chef, part owner of it, I still have to stick with our brand with the whole French and Canadian cuisine. Once in a while, I'll throw in a bit of our Filipino flavors in there. That's why right now, there's a bunch of up-and-coming Filipino chefs that I've been talking to and would love to do some collaboration in the restaurant and highlighting our culture's cuisine. And being, again, the chef and the owner there gives me that opportunity just to explore more and help out the younger generations of chefs to kind of be more adventurous with their kind of cooking style. And that's what I like to do in the kitchen. A lot of my staff are up-and-comers who just came out of school. I like to show them different techniques and different cooking style and not to be scared to just try new food. This is why I want to start exploring more in the Filipino cuisine, just highlight it more here in Calgary. Traditionally, how my dad will make this is a little bit different. For me, I'm using green peppercorns and adding some apple cider vinegar in there just to change up a bit of the flavor. And what you usually see in adobo, you get carrots, potato, or even a red pepper. For here, I changed it up a little bit with a pave, added a little bit of a French twist there. And again, adding our duck confit, which we breaded and will now fry. All right, so now we'll let our duck rest. Typically, you would like it to rest for about 5 minutes so all the juices stay in the meat and not on the cutting board when you cut it. So we'll let that rest. And I would season a bit with Malden salt. So this is sea salt. Carrots are done. And now I'll add my Brussels leaves. Potato pave, and the difference is we're just using regular potatoes. This will give it that layer of thinly sliced potatoes, crispy outside, nice and moist interior. Adding this dish to adobo will kind of change it up, and traditionally, obviously, you'll eat it with rice, but today we'll just stick with the potatoes. We braise it in duck fat for about an hour and a half at 300 degrees. End up with really moist duck meat. Basically, we'll pull the meat out of the bone. I added some mushrooms in there just to kind of help it bind. And breaded it with panko breadcrumbs just to give it a different texture from the duck breast. And right now I'm just crisping the Brussels sprout leaves, and we'll use that for garnish. So the duck's been resting for about 4 to 5 minutes now. And we'll start getting the plates going. Okay, so let's get this dish together. So I would just kind of square off the duck just to get more of a presentation look of it. So as you can see, the longer it rests, the juices just stay in there. Also square off our potato pave. Just give it more of a... All right, we'll use this side here. Some duck confit. Got one side there. All right, we'll get it on the plate. And then we will finish off with some Malden salt. So here's our finished product. This is my version of a duck adobo. So we have a sous vide pan-seared duck breast, potato pave, organic carrots. We have a crispy duck confit with a honey tuile, and we finish off with some chili oil and our green peppercorn adobo sauce. Do I think the Canadian scene is ready for Filipino food? I think it's been ready for a while. I think it's just a lot of going back to our older generation where they say that's not really Filipino food. Oh, I could just cook that at home and stuff like that. So a lot of us chefs kind of just steered away from that. And now I think there's a lot more chefs willing to do that and just not listen to what other people or older generation Filipinos say and just go with it. I mean, it's booming in the States. A bigger demographic there, but I think Canada is it's not far behind. We just need the push, and I think it's there. It's been there all this time, but it just needs that uplifting just to kind of like, hey, let's do this. And it's to give them a platform here, just to show them, hey, it's fine to do your own thing. It's fine to do your own culture, and kind of just give them a voice and a bit more courage to just kind of speak up and show them like, hey, you know what, Filipino food is one of the best too. All right. Okay, looking back now in my career, what I would tell my younger self, tell them to keep going. Don't let your critics let you down. Don't overthink things. Just cook the food you cook. Don't dress it up because you think someone else is gonna like it. As long as you really want it, you'll make it. That's it. Advice I would give to just embrace the culture, but don't lose touch of your culture. Learn from it and learn how to cook around it, but still given that Filipino flavor. There's a lot of similarities in cooking in different cuisines, and just kind of figure your way to marry both culture together. Connecting to other chefs like JP, Rupert, seeing the younger chef like Justin Hans bringing that Filipino vibe in their cuisine, and I was like, you know what? That's one thing I need to do. I hid it for a long time because of my past experience as a kid, but now I feel like it's something I need to help in this community, in our industry, to show that, hey, Filipino food is the next big thing, and it could be really good.